Welcome again to another edition of the Hot Seat Interview. I, of course, am your host, Leo Brady, film critic for AMovieGuy.com, and I am giving a warrior yell today for the guest that I have on my show. Everybody knows her as Xena, the Warrior Princess, but we are here today to talk to her about her awesome new documentary that comes out this weekend, Never Look Away. This is Lucy Lawless. Lucy, thank you for being with me here today.
Leo, thank you so much for having me. And hi, everybody.
Yeah, this is great. So, okay, as we always start on the hot seat, the first question that we ask every guest is, what movie for you growing up did you see and made you say, I want to become an actor, or even in your case now, I want to become a director?
Oh, I'm going to say I, Claudius, and I was really inappropriately young when I saw that. It was a TV series, Brit thing. Just that I knew they were stage actors. I knew they were acting.
Yeah.
It wasn't it, and it was so mesmerizing, so complex, and so much revealed humanity in the past and now. And that was probably the most influential thing on me. And isn't it weird that I went off to play Lucretia and all these sort of Roman women who were I was very inspired by Livia in the I, Claudius series.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like very telling. I mean, you've been like all forms of like gladiators, warriors,
Yeah.
Spartacus, Xena, obviously. It's interesting though, I wanted to definitely ask you as time goes on. I mean, I certainly remember you as Xena the Warrior Princess. I'm not sure everybody, is keeping up with that show or kept up with that
Well, they
show.
need to. They need to back right up.
Yeah, they do. Well, I was gonna say, and I'm gonna say, like, you've been on so many other things. I mean, you had a great run on like Parks and Recreation. You were on, Ash versus Evil Dead. But like, is Xena the Warrior Princess still the one thing that people come up to you and talk to you about and say like, oh, that show influenced my entire life?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'd say from the influence my entire life, but I'm also weirdly, like I was in, say, Mexico, and I had to get on the plane, and I was missing some crucial piece of ID or something, and I was saying, "Look, this really is me. Do you know me from oh, la, la, la," like I'm doing the acting?" He's like, "I don't know who Xena Warrior Princess is," and he goes, "Wait a minute, weren't you on Curb Your Enthusiasm?" Yes,
Yes,
thank you. Yeah.
love
So
that.
you never know that, there's uh not everybody watches everything, so it's having a broader fan base than simply that wonderful show.
Yeah, well, and I think it's interesting too for you because I mean, like I look at your filmography and your career too, and the shows that you've been on. You've got a lot of variety, comedies like Curb Your Enthusiasm, action, drama. Is have you sort of been able to use that like as an element of surprise for people to sort of see you in different genres and different styles?
Well, you're crediting me with a lot more forethought than look, honest to God, I never planned any of it,
Yeah,
including directing this film.
right.
I just took what looked like the next best idea and went and did that with all my heart. It's just I couldn't have plotted this, and I wouldn't have, because I'm really not that into sci-fi or fantasy. And here I
Right.
am doing fantasy, sci-fi, action. Ugh, hate it. Did it for 6 years. So now I feel like with Margaret Never Look Away that I've finally done something that is wholly my own.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and talk about getting involved in this. So Never Look Away. I mean, it's Margaret Moth's life, sort of her whole life story. But like, I wanted to ask, like, how did her specifically, and how did all of that become the story that you wanted to tell, the first documentary film that you wanted to direct?
I don't know. I don't know what gave me the brass neck to say, yes, I will find the money. I must make this film.
Yeah.
Because I had no experience in any of these things, but I was possessed in the moment I received this email from Joe Duran, her best friend, who's in the film.
Yeah.
And I made these crazy promises, and then I was in too deep. I couldn't back out. And I figured, oh, well, it's not going to kill me. I can only fail. It's not that bad, is it? Like I've failed plenty of times before.
Right.
There is only forward, and that's become my watchword is there's forward. That's all there is.
Yeah.
Um, And even if you're not actually getting ahead, it's you're still moving forward in your human experience, so failure is actually okay.
Yeah.
Fortunately, this didn't fail. In fact, it's succeeding beyond my wildest dreams, and I'm just I'm so like wickedly amazed and a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous because I didn't foresee this, so it could all evaporate. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and it's like, it's interesting too. I think a fascinating part for me is seeing this is how much the world has changed, especially from like news standpoints. And maybe it could be a conversation about how the iPhone just changed the world entirely or how we get our news. But we do still live in a time where like journalism seems to be degraded, mistreated, or
Totally.
yeah. But at the same time, you have somebody such as Margaret Moth who's like a warrior. She is a warrior. She made the camera her weapon in a lot of
For the
ways.
truth.
But
Yeah, these people.
but
That's exactly right.
do you think somebody like her could even exist today as much? I mean, is it
They do exist. They're out there right now, and they're facing untold dangers to bring the truth of the non-combatants of war.
yeah,
So the thing that makes this important to me is that truth tellers are under such threat and they're so disrespected and nobody believes in truth anymore. These people, there's no self-interest in them being there.
yeah,
Uh, they are doing it because they have a calling to do something bigger than themselves. And Margaret had that from being a total sybarite, a total pleasure seeker, and an adrenaline junkie.
yeah,
She went to war and, through a catastrophic injury, learned to love the world more than herself and lived to tell the story because truth matters.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd say that's 100% like just what you grasp from who Margaret was. Like I've talked to sort of other directors too. Matthew Heineman's a director who I talked with. He's a documentary filmmaker, and he talks a lot. He's talked a lot about putting your head and your nose into these situations that are just absolutely terrifying. Um, but I thought an interesting approach for the film is that you're not too interested in psychoanalyzing really what Margaret was doing to herself. You're more interested in saying like how she was a type of person who could get knocked down and get back up again. Was it really just about capturing the spirit of Margaret and like sort of how inspiring she really is, as opposed to just saying like, oh, the people who do this are adrenaline junkies, the people who do this are sort of
yeah.
taking wild risks.
Well, I don't think there's that much commonality. There's all kinds of people go to war to do this.
Yeah,
Um, but what is it about Mark? What did I want to do? I just want to illuminate the human condition. I don't want to teach you a lesson. I
yeah,
want to walk you through these subjective accounts which don't line up so that you're immediately going, hang on, that's not true, or I don't believe that person, or you're engaged in the hunt for truth yourself because this mystery woman shows up in Texas and can remember nothing about her past.
right.
And we're like, immediately, that's a lean in thing. People were interested in people with amnesia, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then we learn, oh no, it's so much crazier because she remembers everything. She's in denial. So she starts filling her life with sex and drugs and adrenaline seeking. And then she goes to war and finds that's the ultimate drug.
yeah,
And then death comes hunting her.
yeah,
And after that, death becomes like a dance partner, right? She's going to go back to war, and she's going to stare down death every time because uh, you can only die once. I don't know. She was just telling the truth, bringing
yeah,
the stories of humans' worst influence over poor little people, children, and non-combatants of war must be told.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and an interesting thing that I kept thinking about while I was watching this is that this almost could also have been a narrative feature. Was there ever any thought, or has there been any like any putting words down on a page about thinking like, hey, Margaret Moth's life deserves to be highlighted by others. She is sort of a pioneer for women, camera women. Do you think her story could also fit perfectly in a narrative feature as well? And maybe you could play her. I don't know.
I don't think I would play her. I'd be more likely to direct and produce.
Yeah.
I'm much more interested in working with actors. I love what actors do. I don't have to be the one. Um, uh, so yes, people have wanted to make this and just haven't been able to. We did think about it,
Yeah.
but COVID was breathing down our neck,
Right.
and I thought people are going to die before I get funded. These people might die, and indeed, some of them did.
Um,
Um, so I need to get to them ASAP. So I took off with a friend and went and started interviewing people willy-nilly with no clue of what I was doing, but got some really raw accounts, especially by Jeff,
yep.
her 17-year-old lover, who had never examined. He'd sort of gone down a wormhole of drugs and alcohol and had never examined his the nature of his breakup with Margaret, which was raw and bereft and just brutal. So got him at a certain stage. And then in the end, I interviewed him again when we got the money, and he had it came full circle for him.
Yeah.
And he felt whole again. He had made peace with Margaret, and they were sort of in some way back together again. And then he died.
Oh man.
So when we got into South by Southwest, it showed in Austin, and it became his epitaph. It was this beautiful memorial to not only Margaret but Jeff also. So because he's the kind of the emotional through line of the story. He's the cost of Margaret's success, and he's the payoff somehow for
Yeah.
her life as well.
Yeah.
So that was weird. Like I felt like this movie was made for everybody's benefit, including mine. Changed my life.
Yeah. Especially. Yeah. All right. Well, they're telling me to wrap. Lucy Lawless,
Oh,
thank you so much for talking with me today. I did want to
oh,
say
thank you.
this film is so inspiring, and I knew nothing about someone like Margaret Moth. So it's like
Yeah.
watching a film like this is really important. I hope so many people go to see it. It's going to be
Oh, thanks.
in theaters
Thanks
this.
for your help.
Yeah,
Because
of
it's
course.
really hard to make a film about somebody who's not famous and haven't
Yeah.
get any traction. So thanks so much, Leo.
Yes, yeah, and the film will be in theaters this Friday, November 22nd. We hope
Yeah.
everybody will go and see it. Lucy Lawless, thank you so
Or
much.
on demand. It's
Oh,
also on
on demand
demand.
too.
Apple and Amazon or YouTube or everywhere you can rent a movie, you'll find it.
Awesome. Lucy Lawless, thank
Thanks,
you
mate.
again.
Cheers.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.